Hey guys, so the big news today is, are your tax dollars promoting a global CBDC? Yesterday, a secretive and seemingly IMF-affiliated group unveiled plans for a global CBDC to replace the US dollar called the Unicoin, which also, fittingly, happens to be the name of a failed scam crypto a couple of years ago. Now, this global CBDC caused quite a stir, raising questions why exactly the American taxpayers are funding an organization apparently working hard to destroy our economy. Now, let's get the first point out of the way. This isn't coming directly from the IMF. It's coming from a quasi-government organization that presented the idea at IMF's annual conference. So it could be a hoax. Of course, given people are linking them, as intended, and the IMF has not commented, rare in these days of indignant corrections of disinformation, I assume for now that IMF appreciates the effort, even if they can't openly endorse a dollar replacement at the moment. Now, that secretive group calls itself the DCMA, Digital Currency Monetary Authority. It is, according to its website, a secret cabal of, quote, sovereign states, central banks, commercial and retail banks, and other financial institutions. Now, the IMF already has a pretend global currency called an SDR, which is really just an IOU payable in national currencies, so dollars, euro, yen, pounds, even Chinese yuan. Essentially, IMF decides, say, that the US will put X% into a pot of money, and if that pot is ever called upon to bail out a dictator or a socialist regime, the IMF will request the US hand over that many dollars. This, in contrast, would convert that placeholder SDR into a functioning CBDC, which would move the IMF and its affiliates towards controlling the world's money, replacing the Fed on a global level. If that happened, they could inflate without limit. It would be a near monopoly on fiat currency, which is the lifeline for the 90% of people who still don't use Bitcoin or gold. Worse, assuming such a world CBDC had legal tender status, meaning everybody would be obligated to use it, as is the case with all national currencies, this would give them the ability to literally redistribute all of humanity's wealth at will. In short, it would be a world government in all but name, and a communist one given the IMF staff. Now, this shouldn't be surprising. A world currency has long been a goal of the IMF. Indeed, Keynes proposed a global currency, the Bancor, at the 1944 conference that established the IMF. That was to be managed by a global central bank called the ICU, the International Clearing Union. Now, there's a second project afoot from that same taxpayer-funded international community, and this one they're actually proud of. This one's from the BIS, dubbed the Central Bank of Central Banks, called Project Icebreaker. The BIS wants that very ICU that Keynes was promoting, a global CBDC clearinghouse to unite all of the authoritarian CBDCs. This would not quite be a world government, but it would put enormous pressure on countries to impose their own CBDCs. Given what once gentle countries like Canada have done with such powers to, say, peaceful truckers, even BIS's CBDC promotion effort should knock them off the taxpayer handouts. And that brings the larger question, why exactly Americans are forced to bankroll any of these globalist authoritarians who sit around dreaming up new chains for us and new ways to make us eat the bugs. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.